Hello everyone and welcome to episode 51 of the Made of Things podcast. I am your host, António Maria Correia. Maybe that's too fast. I always say my name if I have to catch a train or something. But António Maria Correia. There you go. Maybe I should make it more simple for foreigners that aren't Portuguese speakers. Anyway, welcome to the podcast version of Made of Things. This is primarily a YouTube show. And on this episode, we have something we posted on video a while back, almost 4 months ago or something. The conversation I had with Jagwar Ma at the latest edition. It will happen again this year, but the 2016 edition of Vodafone Mesh Fest in Lisbon, and I spoke to Jagwar Ma, the guys, the Australian band. Jono, Jack, and Gabe were speaking to me, and I can't remember if we did an ID intro. I went for the podcast version. We might have. I don't remember. But the video version of this is already up on YouTube, and it has been for half a year almost. And the Vodafone Mesh Fest is I guess it's the foremost festival happening during the winter season in Lisbon, which aren't many, I guess, but that's the main one and the first one to it's like the first week of December, more or less, or the last week of November, and there's not another semi-high profile, I wouldn't call this a high profile festival. It kind of is, but it exists to promote new music, really, or relatively new music. Some stuff has been around for a long time, but I really love speaking to Jagwar Ma, and we'll get to that in a minute. I mean, there's not much to get to. It's pretty self-explanatory, so I'm just going to go ahead and mention other subjects before we go to the conversation part of the episode. So my dad, because of the fistula, he was undergoing surgery, last week, and I haven't posted a podcast since, and I should mention you guys. I mentioned the subject to you guys who are interested. Everything's okay. The surgery went fantastic, so everyone out there who was rooting for my dad, as I asked you to, sending out good vibes and stuff like that, it worked. So thank you so much. And his bed was the 13th, and I'm not very superstitious, but his hospital bed was the 13th, and he was moved to the 13th number. And I'm not so superstitious, but you're always very nervous on those occasions. And it turns out that 13 was a lucky number, so I don't feel like 13 is bad again anymore, because it's it's stupid. Number superstitions are kind of silly. So any superstitions are really kind of silly. But we're human and we're kind of dumb. So there you go. Sometimes. You don't have to be too tough on yourself. It's some stuff is feeling, so whatever. Numbers are just numbers, and there's a lot to be said over there on that subject. 13, and no problem there. And my dad is okay. He's back home and doing awesome. So, and he woke up just pretty much back from anesthetics, on a very good mood. In a very good mood, he was. And the second time I visited him at the hospital, he was already complaining about some stuff. Not that my dad complains a lot, but he was if he's good enough to be bothered by small things, then he's fine, really. So when you're being pesky, then or or something like that, then it's usually a good sign health-wise. Like you're fine. Okay, so he's doing fine and just dealing with closing off his fistula and not having too much of a runny nose, because that's what it does to you. Like you drip because fistula is on your forehead. So the fistula was on his forehead, so as I mentioned on the other episodes. Okay, enough about my dad. Everything's fine. Thank you guys for sending out your good vibes. I should address something that first off, I'm editing a pilot for TV, which I'm producing with a friend of mine, but so that's why I'm not posting too much lately. My back is a little better. I'm still on sick leave, so I can't spend too much time at the computer. But still, I try to do the best I can, so for the past week, I think we posted like a week ago or something, but some stuff is coming up. I'm going to try to edit new episodes very soon. Probably in the next few days we'll have something new on video. I am doing this now, thinking about Primavera Sound coming up. Hopefully me and Leonor will be going up to Porto in a couple of weeks to do lots more episodes of Made of Things. And but first, today I took a couple of hours to chill and watch WWE Backlash. So everyone who isn't into wrestling and knows nothing about what I'm saying, please refrain from listening to this and just skip to the conversation with our guests. But basically, this matters to some people who enjoy wrestling. If you're not aware, then SmackDown, which is half of the WWE brand, it has Raw and SmackDown. SmackDown has a new champ, and he's Jinder Mahal, who is of Indian origin, even though I think he's Canadian or something. But he speaks Punjabi fluently, and he is very clearly Indian. So the thing is, he was a jobber and or at least low card for a while, for a couple of years, or it was on NXT. I'm not really sure, but he was low on the bill, and he was no one of real relevance really. And suddenly WWE has pushed him towards the top, to the point. And very quickly, might I add, towards the main event, scene, and he is now a champion after beating Randy Orton. And I'm going to try to be very quick about this, not to bother you guys, but who aren't into wrestling. But my point is that first off, before I get to my point, it's just that wrestling is really simple in its narrative, really, sometimes, but is very evolved in terms of communication. So if you work in the media and know anything about narrative, like the way that something is construed to be, and percepted from audiences, or by audiences, it's very interesting. And the thing about, which is I guess most fun about wrestling, is the what is real and what isn't. And the overlap is, the more you know about wrestling, the more you know how real it is, like actually most of the time, and surprisingly how real it is in terms of what is being told, and how it's based, even though it's written in, how it's based in real life events, and or some stuff is just off script, and some stuff is just improvised on the spot, both in the ring and in promos and speaking. So It's a lot of fun. So that's why I'm back into wrestling, because it's very interesting, really. Okay, so plus they do a good job with surprising you sometimes, which they. Oh, I'm sorry. Which they did this time. So with Backlash, thing is, I'm not going to go down the whole event. I'm happy Sami Zayn won. I think they did well with the Kevin Owens AJ Styles match, even though it was a count out. It's a good finish. I hadn't seen that before, and the match was really good. Shinsuke Nakamura's debut against Dolph Ziggler, who I think is awesome. Both of those guys are fantastic. Was a little sluggish, like taking off, but like the last 5 minutes are very good, so it kind of leaves you with a good feeling looking back. So like, and plus it was a debut, it was obvious that Shinsuke was going to win, and Kevin Owens was retaining, but pretty much everything else on the card was booked upside down, really. So apart from what was being expected, I mean, not apart. My English is terrible tonight. I'm sorry. I'm kind of tired. So yeah, back to Jinder. What I think is, first off, Bray Wyatt moved to Raw, so they had to make Orton champion. I understand. So, but I don't think Randy Orton, who's like at his 14th title or something, and let's remember that Ric Flair and Cena have 16, and Orton still is pretty young. I mean, the guy's like 38 or something, and still has a lot of years left in him. So, what are they going to do? First off, is he going to be the first, like the guy with the most titles ever? And or do they stop making him a main eventer, or at least off getting him out of the title race, usually, because I don't know what you're going to do with the guy, but maybe he's retiring very early. I don't know. He's the guy sells tickets, so yeah. But the thing about Randy Orton is, being a champion, he was, if he was going to be the champion, he should be the champion for a while, not like a couple of weeks. Because he's at the point like where his title reigns have to be meaningful, because he's getting up there, like with the all-time most the title holds of any wrestler. So in the WWE, so they should be more careful with when booking titles to go to Orton. Also, I don't think that Randy Orton is a very good face. Faces are the good guys. If you guys aren't aware of the lingo. Orton is a heel, really. Orton is the bad guy, and he still wrestles like a bad guy. And I know about like the thing that wrestling against Jinder was a good example. I know that the thing is that it might be perceived as Orton wrestling as a heel, because in India Jinder is being seen as a face, but that makes no sense, because it does make some sense, but Orton usually just wrestles as a heel anyway, like attacking the guy from behind before the bell, moving out of the way to send the guy towards the post, ramming against the post, like spearing the post. That's usually a heel move. Like faces usually lose the upper hand when they ram into something. Orton is a natural heel, and he's an awesome heel, but to my mind he's very boring as a face. Like, nothing is happening. So first off, I'm glad that Jinder won. Because what I meant was that also regarding the other argument is that Jinder is wrestling as a heel. Like, he's cheating his way in like to the top, and wrestled like 4 matches or something until grabbing the belt. And Yeah, and he cheated on all of them, really. So, because of the Singh boys, and who are backing him up naturally. So the both the cruiserweights who did well, actually didn't do very well, but like their matches were very good, as was the whole tournament of the cruiserweights, the Cruiserweight Classic of 2016. Yeah, 16. Yeah. Okay. So I think. Yeah, not 15, 16. Yeah. That's some of the best wrestling you can ever watch. So if you like wrestling, go watch that at some point in your life. So yeah, but I was saying that you guys, about Orton and Jinder. My point is that I don't think it's reading too much if you're into it. I think if you're looking at like how Orton is being booked in terms of being a face or a heel, he just always really wrestles as a heel. And the thing with Jinder is that it's become pretty much apparent that they're putting the belt on Jinder because of business reasons, and because India is like the third biggest market in the world for WWE, so products and stuff like that, and so I guess that it's it's the US, the UK, and then India, and so they decided to push an Indian wrestler and do it very quickly. I think this happened for a couple of reasons. First off, to surprise the world other than the wrestling world. Because usually the way you do things is in order to have some credibility, which Jinder really didn't in terms of the public eye, you need to build a character. Like, Jinder needs to mean something, really, and people need to know what Jinder is. And the angle they're going with Jinder, with which they're going with Jinder, is the racial thing. And whereas this has been seen like 100 million times, I don't think that this time it's very much as racist as it was in the past. So let's see. They're going with the empathy angle. So the thing is with Jinder is that Jinder is a heel because he feels like he's being treated unjustly because of his skin, because of the way the skin color, tone, because of the way he speaks, and because he's different. And the thing is that it's true. Like, if you're not Caucasian, and for instance, when was a foreign champion in the WWE? When was the last time a foreign champion was in the WWE, like non-white? Let me do that again. But when was the last time you remember a foreign non-white champion in the WWE? I don't who was a face. I mean, they were always heels. I think I always remember them as heels. Even Sheamus, who was whiter than white, but is Irish, was a heel. So no non-American champions or non-Canadian champions or something, because that's because that's the perception of things, and this is very interesting. So, but Jinder's angle is more positive, and I'll tell you why it's empathic. Why there's empathy in that angle. The thing with Jinder is, with Jinder Mahal, is what he's saying is like, I'm being treated unjustly because of this and that, and unless you're white, this kind of white, I mean Caucasian white, very white, and in terms of the context, this rarely will happen to you. Or, I mean, this won't happen to you, but unless you're white, this will, unless you're white, it's always going to happen to you. Like, I'm white, but I'm Portuguese, so I can be viewed as a less white person. It's very, very odd, and I'll give you an example. When I was living in Rome, 10 to 12 years ago, I did this trip with a friend of mine, and we arrived at the train station at the most convenient hour in terms of price of the tickets, So this meant that we had to get back to Rome at like 4 a.m. And we had been visiting the Cinque Terre, which is the La Spezia coast, which means that you can hike the whole thing. And we did. So we walked the Cinque Terre for the whole day, like 12 hours, and then caught the train at night, and then arrived all sweaty and just disgusting at the Rome Tiburtina, I think, the Tiburtina train station at 4 a.m. So the thing is that in most Europe, and this doesn't happen too much in Portugal, but in Italy and places like Poland and Germany and the UK and France, there's a lot of racism. And you would think that Italians would recognize Portuguese people as fellow Mediterraneans, but the thing is, even the Italian people within themselves are very different, because someone from the north is much more of an Austrian than someone from Sardinia, who is kind of like almost Moroccan in terms of the way they look. So there's a lot of racism within the country, and it's not necessarily xenophobic, it's just like skin color. So, and there's a tradition obviously with Mussolini and the far right in Italy. So yeah, so a lot of, there's a lot of that. And so we arrived at 4 a.m., both of us white, both of us not Caucasian at all, but white. We're still white people. So this dude with this police officer with a buzz cut and a very, very clear color of hair and blue-eyed, basically saluted us with the fascist salute and clicked his toes as a fascist, really, as a neo-fascist, or as I don't know, the Mussolini fascist of back in the day. So he saluted us and then asked where Portugal was, and then where are you from? And we're like, we're from Portugal. And he's, where is that? Was that in South America? And we're like, oh geez, like, no, it's like 3,000 kilometers away. It's not very far. It's in Europe. You're probably from, what's your club? Lazio Roma. And then he salutes again. And Lazio have a lot of, or used to, I don't know anymore, but used to have a lot of racist followers. This happens in soccer clubs all over, yeah, or football, as you should call it, might I add. But yeah, I'm not going to bother you with that one. Okay, so Lazio, and he salutes again with the fascist salute, and because this was back in 2003, I think, they were playing Porto, who is a Portuguese team, back in the European. UEFA Cup, I think, in the European Cup. So it was in the UEFA Cup. I think it was when Porto won the UEFA Cup. So they pretty much. So we said, so you're from Lazio, and Porto is from Portugal, and they're playing tomorrow. So we're from. That's what convinced them. But we were like there for like 10 minutes at 4 a.m., which is a lot, and at this very, very grim and kind of scary train station, and so yeah, and then he went. He took our IDs and passports and stuff like that, and he went because you don't need a passport if you're European and you're traveling within Europe. that's one of the good things of being in Europe and being European, is that if you're a European citizen, you don't need a passport. There's nothing to check. You have your own country's ID, and having my own Portuguese ID, any Italian fucker who can't tell me can't tell me that I can't travel as freely as I want in Italy. I'm sorry. Like, even if you're the same thing if you're Italian. If you want to travel all over Portugal, you're free to do so. So as long as you're not doing anything illegal. So don't bother me. I'm tired and sweaty and I want to go home. So so go away, you fascist fuck. But the point being that whatever Jinder, that's the end of my story, basically. Nothing happened and we went, but away. But the guy let us off, but there's nothing to be let off of. We were doing nothing, literally nothing wrong. And that's the whole point. Like, what Jinder is saying, half of the crowd will relate. Because, it's more important than this is wrestling. This is silly. And but it's touching on something that's the same thing as Trump and Brexit and luckily Marine Le Pen losing in France. So it's the same thing. Like, it's touching on a thing that's empathic. Like, it reveals empathy for anyone who's not extremely white, or at least anyone who's been in this situation of being less than, of being, what's the word? Undermined for not being the color that, or the skin tone that the other person wanted you to be, or them to be in this case. So yeah, what I think Jinder is doing is very healthy. I think I have no problem with the push. There's another thing in wrestling terms, in terms of the wrestling aspect of the thing, is that I understand having to build up a character. Excuse me. I understand the having to build up a character, but that's usually with faces. Like, when you look as menacing as Jinder Mahal does, and you're as big as Jinder, and if you're cheating or running, especially if you're cheating, you can basically cheat your way to the top, and that's what he's doing with the Singh boys. Like, they're helping him win, like, just enough that he wins, and the number one contender, and then his first WWE championship, and then as a heel, what they can do, and that's what I hope they do, successfully at least, or try to do at least. Is that they get Jinder to build character with the belt already on him. That might sell a lot. Because what is Jinder right now? Jinder Mahal is the guy who is playing what can be seen as a race card, and the classic race card. But to my mind, it's more evolved than that. And I have really no problem with the push of him as a heel. And being the number one champion. There is a problem in the WWE right now, and that's not Jinder's fault. There's a problem in the WWE right now, which is in Raw. Okay, there's the women's division, which is fine with Alexa Bliss being the champion. There's the tag belts, which I don't remember. Who's the tag champion in Raw? I don't remember actually, and that's telling. That's telling enough. I don't recall. Oh, it's the Hardys. I'm sorry. I apologize. No, they're doing well. Oh yeah, that's my fault. Okay, it's the Hardy. The Hardy boys are awesome, and I love Broken Matt. So yeah, so Cesaro and Sheamus are a very good tag team, and they're doing well. Okay, so that's fine. So women's division is good. The Divas or something. not the Divas. The Divas are gone, thankfully. The tag champions are the tag team division is fine, but Brock Lesnar, awesome as he is non-existent as a Universal Champion. So the main champion isn't there. They're wrestling for number one contendership as if it was contendership or contenderdom. I don't know. For contention. I don't know anymore. I'm tired. This is late. And they're doing they basically, it has no champion. And with the other belt, which is the Intercontinental Championship, they're for some reason mad at Dean Ambrose, who is very good, and works a lot, but has been seen as a guy who does not work because of something I don't know. But they're not doing anything with the belt. So basically, two main belts are non-existent, and you have to fill the rest of your time with excuse me. I need some water. With the women's division and the tags. And in SmackDown, what happens is the tag titles are now interesting because the Usos have the titles, and Breezango, Tyler Breeze and Fandango, are doing some amazing things with the Fashion Files and the Breezango Fashion Police. If you haven't, if you like campy wrestling, please watch Backlash. The match between Breezango and the Usos is something of beauty. I was laughing. I watched it twice, and I was laughing the same amount all through. So all throughout. So, and I showed it to Leonor, who was on the show, who's my sister, who works on Made of Things with me, and she loved it. Like, she was really laughing, and she doesn't watch as much wrestling as I do. So awesome stuff. Really comedic wrestling, very funny. So yeah. But the Usos are fine with the belts, and eventually I hope they'll give them to Breezango because that was awesome. And then there's the women's division with Naomi, and then being the champion, and then obviously with Charlotte, who is amazing in everything she does, or at everything she does. But then there's the U.S. champion, who is Kevin Owens, who is awesome, obviously, and you have Kevin Owens and AJ Styles. But the thing is, with that the champion was Orton as a babyface, and as I said before numerous times, he's boring as a face, so nothing was happening with the belt. And now that the belt is on Jinder, then at least something is happening. And it's exciting, and there's the benefit of the WWE giving him such a fast push, is that it's being talked about. Like, who is this Jinder dude? Why is the WWE doing this? Like, and it's being talked about. People are legitimately either very angry at this or kind of excited about this. Because it's it's very visual that there's this dude with a turban and or whatever you call I don't mean to, I hope that's called a turban, but with the turban like thing, and I apologize for my lack of culture in the terms of Hindi stuff, but something to do with Punjabi and the Maharajan hat or whatever you want to call it, and so yeah, the Maharaja of modern days, and whatever. I'm fine with all that. It's different. At least it's somewhat exciting, and at least something is happening. And Bray, and excuse me, my throat is hurting now, and I've been going on for ages now. But yeah, my point is that something is happening with the belt, at least. And I understand that the problem here is that, it's kind of silly when you have people such as Kevin Owens and AJ Styles and Sami Zayn, and now you have Shinsuke Nakamura, and you have Nakamura, and you have Chris Jericho when he comes back, and Orton, who as heel is amazing, and I guess Cena is kind of still on there, but you know, he's kind of retiring, so I won't count him in. But then there's Dolph Ziggler, who's awesome, and they don't never know what to do with him, you know. So at least, you know, there's at least 6 people who that I can remember off the top of my head. Not to mention that you could potentially promote, you know, Baron Corbin or something like that. At least 6 people off the top of my head that could be, world champion, and not like pushing this guy out of the blue, who can't really. It's, you know, he's a big dude. And, you know, we all know how Vince McMahon likes, big dudes, but classically. But he's not really running the show anymore, though. It's really Triple H, isn't it? So, and Stephanie. So, who I love, by the way. And both of these people I love. So, I think they're great. So my thing with this, the point is that I understand that, you know, having all of this talent around and then pushing Jinder makes not much sense, but you know, it's still at least something is happening. So I'm not going to be like this hater, and I think it's fine, and that's what I want to share with you guys. I think I want to share my opinion, and I think that it's good, you know, that maybe you relate. So hopefully we'll see what they do with Jinder in the future and where it's going. I don't know who he's feuding with, no idea. Possibly the next it's going to take at least, I think, like 6 months until they give Shinsuke a title shot, but I think that's unavoidable, because I mean, look at the pop, at the reaction of on his debut, when his music cues in and he enters the ring. It's really bone chilling, really. So yeah, enough about wrestling. Those are my thoughts on, I guess, Backlash and what the stuff that happens on's been happening on SmackDown. So yeah, enough about that. Please enjoy my conversation all of a sudden with Jagwar Ma on this episode of Made of Things. Don't forget to like the stuff on. Like the page on Facebook, but most of all, subscribe on YouTube for the video things. I stress that this episode is already up on video without the wrestling talk. Loved speaking to Jono, Gabe, and Jack. They were lovely, and I hope that we do, as always. Stuff goes well when we interview these people. When we have these people on the show, people like this on the show. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. Guys, please subscribe on YouTube. Please subscribe on iTunes. Those are main things. It would be cool if you like the page on Facebook as well, and follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Either Made of Things or Made of Things Pod. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. Please enjoy, and I hope you guys enjoy, and please enjoy.
Quite like mathematically American, you know.
And like a cultural grid.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, Nirvana plus Metallica equals Black Sabbath.
We're divided.
Oh no,
I'm just chiming in.
Metallica minus Nirvana equal. I think it's like a reduction.
Exactly, it's backwards, right?
Because it's, you know, like Sabbath are way less excessive, like Metallica, musically speaking.
True.
But that's all I've got to say about that.
No, it's very important, actually.
It is important. They're important bands.
This is actually for a show called Made of Things. So we're starting on that. So were any of those bands pivotal in your wanting to do music?
All of them. Well, Nirvana for me was the reason I started playing music.
Uh-huh.
So that's pretty pivotal.
Yeah.
And then the other two are just, you know, things that you pick up really early on when you, especially if guitar's your first instrument.
You have to.
They're pretty important bands because they kind of just teach you how to noodle. But yeah, I'm sure these guys will say something pretty similar about.
Well, what got you into being the idea of I want to do music forever, really?
Well, obviously a lot of music like that, you know, like lots of household names, you know, like obviously a lot of guitar music, but even things like, you know, Michael Jackson and all that sort of stuff. But probably ultimately my biggest inspiration would have been my dad, because he was a musician. So not of any particular note, but like he played guitar a lot around the house. So that was what I wanted to do.
Well, that's note enough for you.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
What about you, John?
Sorry, what's the question?
Oh no, this is because this is based on the assumption that you dedicated yourselves to music. You know, because dedicating yourself to art or any art it's an endeavor, and it has a lot of it takes a lot of effort, and so to get through the bad times, you kind of need a lot of motivation. And so, where did you get that from initially? Like, oh, I just saw something or watched something or listened to something. I want to do that forever.
Yeah,
it's a huge question. It's basically what triggered you into the music, really. Why did you do the music?
I mean, it's a compounding of loads of different things, but you know, like similar to Jack, you know, first time hearing Nirvana was like, you know, that was like really exciting. It was like a departure from the music that my parents listened to, and they hated it. But my brother and I loved it. So it was like, you know, there was like this clear line in the sound at that moment. And then my brother's probably a big inspiration as well. You know, he taught me how to play like the first couple of Nirvana songs, and then he and I ended up being in a band together when we were teenagers.
Really?
And he introduced me to loads of music. He was like an avid music lover. You know, he bought me my first record, and took me to my first gig, which was the Fugazi show.
Oh, really?
When I was super young, and that kind of blew my mind. And was probably, you know, a big part of why I wanted to play guitar and, you know, be in a band. And then even like the band that I was in with my brother, like we never really had any success or anything. We were just like kids that played music, and but we played this small festival called Shell Shocked or Shore Shocked.
Shore Shocked.
I think it used to be called Shell Shocked, but it was a bit too, because it was in the shell at
right.
But it was
It's like this
sensitive. You know?
It's like an annual all ages show which is held in the Lower North Shore, which is kind of around where we all grew up in Sydney, which was probably the first show the first mosh pit I was ever in.
It was like a little.
We have a theory that I watched his band play when I was about 10 years old.
It's very possible, but so we won our Battle of Bands at our school, and then the prize was to play at this festival.
Now called PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder.
No, it's all semantics.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's actually video of us playing, like, I think I was like maybe 14 or 15 or something, and there's like a proper, it's the first time playing like a proper crowd with like a proper mosh pit. And I was watching it with my friend who was also in the band, Graham, and we were watching it and going like once you've experienced that at that age, there's kind of no turning back. Like you can't go back from that. And similarly, like Gab was in a band when he was 15, playing to like, you know, massive crowds, and it's like once you've had that taste, and like, you know, that the band I was in with my brother failed and ended, and then I went on to do all these other things, but then kept coming back to music after trying all these other things. Like I did a year
It's
of
like a
law.
bug. It's a bug, man. Like that's totally like.
Yeah, it's like an itch you need to scratch constantly. I tried to be really responsible after school and did a year of law and then failed at that, and then did a film degree and got really into filmmaking, and I think that's where I got my production chops up, was studying that sort of stuff, but just kept coming back to bands, just playing live music and making records.
I understand that somewhat. I mean, I understand it perfectly, but for instance, in my case, I've had some experience playing bands and stuff like that. I do this, but like I don't consider myself a journalist really. I just speak to bands and artists and stuff like that. But the willingness to play music never really goes away, even though I'm not doing it currently. I really want to do it always. It involves a lot of things, dude. It's once because you guys have, I don't know how it is for you guys now, but you guys have a successful band and you're doing this, and there's a commitment, like a mutual commitment between you guys. But getting that to start with is really, really difficult to get, isn't it? Sometimes I don't know.
How do you mean?
I mean, because sometimes
Do you mean getting a project off the ground?
Committing to one project, is that what you're saying? Yeah,
committing to one project or committing to one thing.
Well, when we started this, it wasn't like that. We didn't go, okay, we're all committing to this one thing now. It was like
This is make or break.
this was a side.
It wasn't like that. No.
This was a side project to other things that we were doing respectively.
Really?
Like, I was like doing a lot of film, like music for film work at the time, and had like this sort of experimental side project while like Gab was writing songs with Jack, and we were all doing different things, and then Gab and I made Come Save Me, and then we were still doing all these other things, and we made another track which became The Throw, and then we made another track, and then like after a while we're like, oh, this stuff that we're doing in our spare time is pretty good. Maybe we should focus on it for a moment and make a record, and then we made a record, and that was Howlin'. So it wasn't like we didn't like fucking write something in our blood and like this till the day we die.
You're not Manowar
ourselves or anything like that. It wasn't like that. It was just like small parts formed a bigger piece of a bigger picture.
Fantastic. And it's the same. The first time you guys are playing Lisbon, I guess, because you played Paredes de Cora, which is up north. Have you played Lisbon? Because I don't remember.
I think we played just outside.
Didn't we play just recently? Where was that?
It was the Nos Alive.
Oh yeah, it was. Of course.
That was like a few months ago, which was great. We actually we really like, and this is through no sense of being sycophantic or anything. We actually love Lisbon. It's like it's beautiful. I mean, you've spent some time here this year.
Yeah, I'm thinking of moving.
With the intention, straight up with the intention to buy.
I spent some time up near Peniche, Balliol, and like obviously we're from Sydney, Australia, so I grew up surfing, and I was actually blown away with how good the surf was up on that coast, and I was like, why am I in London? Like when I could be here and surf, and
We've definitely got that like London thing now, where we like live in London. We just constantly think about how much Europe, the continent, is better. everyone in London's always like, oh, the weather's so good in France or Italy or Spain or Portugal or whatever. But you never do anything about it. You still just live in London. But you're always like, oh, I'm gonna move one day.
Learn to love planing.
Sure. I don't remember. This is a little bit of a disclaimer. I'll probably edit this out or something. But usually I've been asking for interviews with you guys for every not every no. Sometimes things get lost in the mist, really.
Right.
So
we don't really normally say no to interviews on like we don't go not. Yep. No, not him. Not that guy.
No. It's just because I've asked. When I say I've been asking, it means like every time I'm in the vicinity of the show that you're playing. So I played Nos Alive. I was at Nos Alive, but and Primavera 2 years ago, 2015, I think it was, and So yeah, I've been meaning to do this for a while now. Yeah, for instance, Uncertainty was in my head for like years, and played it, I don't know, 100 times maybe. I don't know, because it's just one of those things. Like, because your guys' music is like lends itself to be played over and over again, because it's very vibey, I would say. I guess. Yeah. Very kind of get into the thing. But so with every now and then, what happens? It's like every now and then we put out a record or something. I don't know.
What do you mean?
With every now and then, what is every now and then?
What is every now and then? Every now and then is obviously is one of the lyrics lifted out of Loose Ends. Sure. Which I don't know whether it really. I'm not going to pretend like there's some bigger meaning about it. Okay. Because I don't really think there is. No. But I think there is something kind of beautiful about the impermanence and permanence of life itself. Sure. Like, so I don't know. We see our life like film. Frames, like 35 mil. Mm-hmm. But realistically, it's all just in one big canister. Your whole life. I think there's something interesting about that, and I think, and every now and then I think was probably maybe, I'm just going to hazard a guess at like probably some reflection on the experiences that we've had in the last few years, which have been really different, compared to, you sort of like, you live your life, and then all of a sudden you're playing in Glastonbury in front of like a bunch of people that you just didn't expect would care, and you live on the other side of the world, and you play in a band, and it's like, and it all just happened very quickly, in a weird way.
It's funny you mention that, because for instance, Loose Ends and Slipping are probably my two favorite songs on the record, and which is maybe why I keep falling, I guess. Because I don't tie my shoelaces or something. Maybe there's a connection. I don't know. They actually are. I'm just, thank you. Hey-o. No, but they actually are. I was.
Falling is the name of a track as well.
I'm sorry?
Was that implied?
Yeah.
All right,
of course. Yeah. It's a whole thing.
That was good.
Thank you.
I'm up to scratch for everything that's happening in the
Yeah. But first, is it how are we supposed to pronounce it? Because it's is it Obi-Wan or is it Ob-Wan?
Ob-Wan. It should be Ob-Wan.
Ob-Wan. Immediately.
That's very Portuguese, I think, because of like obrigado.
Yeah. Because immediately it's like, oh, it's Obi-Wan. It's this thing.
Now it's Ob-Wan.
Now it's Ob-Wan.
Yeah, it's Ob-Wan.
Good. It's official.
It was Obi-Wan. We've changed it.
You changed it.
Yeah. Thank you. I would love judging people's art.
We're going to update the Wikipedia to
Ob-Wan.
All the truth is on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Thanks for your time, guys. We got the call, the 2-minute warning, so we're done. Okay, it's 15 minutes.
Do you want to keep talking shit? We'll keep talking
shit. I love talking shit. This is my career, is talking shit. No, it's
our side project. Talking shit.
No, it's actually your main project initially.
It's a side project. This is what we like to.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy the show tonight. Thanks, man. Cheers.
Obrigado.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. Cheers, guys.
Yeah, good to meet you.
Hope you move to Lisbon. Sorry? Hope you move to Lisbon.
Yeah.
Cheers, man.
Are you sticking around for the show?
Yeah, absolutely.